We are officially kicking off the Christmas season here on Design to the Nines, and I have pulled together some of my best DIY gift ideas for you that people will actually want. This is the ultimate holiday gift guide, and this is just the beginning. I have so many cool things planned for this Christmas season. So in the meantime, while I'm warming things up over here, sit back, relax, or maybe even DIY right along with me, but let's get started. When I saw this on Pinterest, I just knew I needed to share this with you. So I will include the link to the original recipe if you would like to check that out. But basically what you're gonna need is a large bowl, and you are gonna mix the following ingredients. 1/2 cup of baking soda, 1/4 cup of Epsom salt, 1/4 cup of citric acid, a generous 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I love cinnamon, so I always go heavy on that, and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, a tablespoon of melted coconut oil, and a 1/2 teaspoon, a generous 1/2 teaspoon of molasses. And then you're gonna wanna have a little water bottle on hand to add a little bit of water if you need it when you're mixing things. You need to be very careful about adding it though, because it does make everything start to fizz and you don't want it to go crazy. You just mix this all together until you can feel when you grab it and make it in a fist, it will stay tight. And then you're gonna take your gingerbread man form. Now I got this one off of Amazon and I will link it below, but you're gonna take your mixture and press it down into the gingerbread form. Now I learned from this experience, because this was the first time I made it, you probably want to fill it about half full because it does tend to expand. So I filled mine pretty full, and so I kept having to go back in and press it down. I'm not sure if it's the baking soda that is activated and wants to rise, but it kept wanting to rise. So I kept having to tamp it down, and then you're going to want to let it sit into this muffin tin essentially for at least 24 hours to dry. Now there's no reason you couldn't wash this pan up really well and reuse it for some gingerbread muffins for Christmas. I think that would be really fun as well. So I think you could get a lot of uses out of this. Now that we've got our bath bombs all put together and dried and all of that, we need to kind of package them. So what you're going to want to do is take however many you want to put in the little gift bag and get one of those clear cellophane gift bags and cut it down a little bit. I put about 4 in each one, but you could do as many as you want. And then I provided a free printable, which I will put a link to in my description box below. Then you're going to print this out on the highest resolution you can on your printer on sticker paper. Now you don't have to use sticker paper, but I just feel like it works really well to close that down with. But you could use it on regular printer paper and use a glue stick or whatever you would like to do with that as well. And it's just a really cute little label that will help with the packaging. And I just think this makes such a cute gift. It smells so good enough to eat, although you might not want to, but you definitely just drop 1 to 2 in your bath and have a nice, wonderful Christmassy bath. And I think this is a really good gift for anyone, maybe a good gift for yourself as well. But I hope you like that one. Now, if you've watched any of my gift episodes in the past, you know that I love kitchen items and kitchenware as gifts. I think it's just a fun way to add some personality into your kitchen. And so for this next one, we've got some custom wood spoons. Now you can pick up these bamboo spoons at Dollar Tree. I actually found this package at Walmart, and I think it ends up being a little bit more affordable. I think you get 5 for $6. It's a little cheaper. But the first thing you're gonna do with these wood spoons is you're gonna tape off the handle, and you're going to pick a spot. Like I did it pretty close to the base, but you could do it 2/3 down, pick a spot that works for you, and do some painter's tape. Then you're gonna carefully do 2 coats of white chalk paint or a paint color of your choice. Customize it to the person's kitchen colors that they've got, maybe. And you're gonna let that fully dry, but you're gonna probably need to do at least 2 coats. So while the paint is drying, we are gonna get a little help from Cricut. So I went into Cricut Design Studio and I put in some words that were indicative of kitchen things like scoop, mix, stir, all of that. I put it in Asley brush font, I believe is what it was called. We just cut that out very quickly on our Cricut machine in some gray permanent vinyl, and then we peeled all the excess. I love weeding. I think it's so satisfying. And then I put my transfer tape that I've used for many times. I love reusing my transfer tape. And then we just put one word on each one of the handles about an inch away from the little hole. And we did that for all of them. What you're left with are some really adorable custom looking wood spoons that would look great in anybody's kitchen. Super, super simple, very affordable. I just love how these turned out. I know I would love receiving these as a gift. Our next handmade Christmas gift is some homemade potpourri. And this is really simple, but it is super classy, and I just think it makes a good gift. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take some oranges and apples and slice them so it's the pretty direction, if that makes sense. And then I put mine in a dehydrator machine that dehydrates them, and the reason I like to do that is just because it really retains the color of them and makes them dry a little bit flatter, except for the apple slices. Sometimes they curl up a little bit. But this, you just put in, the time varies, but I think all in all, it ended up being between 6 and 8 hours. If you don't have a dehydrator, there is lots of instructions out there on how to do it in an oven at a low temperature and get a similar result. So don't think that you have to have a dehydrator to do this potpourri. And then once they are fully dried, this is really simple to assemble. This is a very simple gift altogether, really. So then you take a plastic bag, and then you fill it with a couple slices of oranges, a couple of slices of apples, a couple of cinnamon sticks, which I buy in bulk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I get the Badia brand, and it makes it a little bit more affordable when you buy it in bulk like this. And then I also got some star anise, some cloves, and some bay leaves, and then I tucked that into each one of the bags. Then I have another printable for you that you can use and cut out and do it on a cardstock paper. Then you cut it down and fold it and then staple it into place, and then it looks so professional. If you wanted to, you could throw a couple of drops of essential oil in there, but these are really fragrant with all of those spices that we've added. This makes a really good simmer pot. It also makes a really good just fragrant thing to have in your home at Christmas time. I love this. I think it's a really cute gift, and I hope you liked it too. I love a good, simple gift, and this is no exception. So what we're gonna do here is we are gonna get a plate that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. It's like kind of a ceramic plate. They have them square, they have them round, and a lot of them have like a little stand, like it's supposed to be an art piece. I just popped the back of that off because I wanted to use it as like a jewelry trinket dish, and we are gonna do a custom nameplate. So then we go into Cricut Design Space, put in the name that you want to use. I cannot remember off the top of my head the name of the font that I use, but I will put it up on the screen. And then I went in and I put in like wavy line or something like that, put it on either side of the name and made sure it matched, and then I welded it together. I cut it out on some beautiful gold foil vinyl. Then of course we weeded it out and then put our transfer tape on, and then we put this on the plate, and you have this done in like 5 to 10 minutes. Super, super easy, and it looks so expensive. This, all in all, you probably will have about $2 into this plate with the help of the Cricut machine, of course, and it looks like something that you could have paid easily 10 times the amount. But I just love this little jewelry trinket dish. I cannot wait to give this to my daughter for Christmas, and hopefully she doesn't get it spoiled, but if not, it's okay. But I really love this, and I'm hoping that she does does too. So here is another quick and easy DIY Christmas gift idea. All you're gonna do is I found this cookie jar at Walmart for $6.97. Now they did have one that was just a little bit bigger for $9.97, but I thought that the $6.97 one was a really good size. And then all you need to do is bake up your favorite cookies, like snickerdoodles and gingerbread cookies. I just feel would be super cute in this. And then all you're gonna do is take some Christmas greenery, wrap it around the handle, and then tie a beautiful satin ribbon on top. Fill it up with the cookies, and bam, you have a really classy, yummy Christmas gift. And everybody can use a good quality jar. I love the way this one looks. Super easy to put together, and I think it makes a great gift. This next project is so super cute. I am so excited. So I designed a pattern based off of something that I had seen on Pinterest, but I couldn't find the pattern anywhere to give credit. It used to be there and it wasn't. So I designed my own, and I will provide the link to the Cricut project. Hopefully it will work for you. I know I've had some problems with links in the past, so I'm really, really hoping this works for you because this is so super cute. Dolly, oh my word, she just opened her cage. Say hi, say hi. The DIY Dolly. She always just wants to play. Okay, so this project is super, super fun. I just used Dollar Tree leather because I did have some like real leather, but I couldn't find it. So I just snaked the Dollar Tree stuff out of the drawer and it worked out okay. All you do is you take this pattern that I'm gonna provide to you and you cut it out on your machine. That's it, because it's super easy. And what it is a bow cuff, and you're gonna just then, while it's off your hand, you're gonna thread the pointy part through the little slots that I've created and create a leather cuff. And it is so stylish. You could even go more crazy and add some rhinestone embellishments on it and make it super cute. Actually, I just thought of that in this moment. But even as is, it's super, super cute. And honestly, I made like 5 of these for $1.25, and there's still vinyl left over that you could use for another project. So that's pretty good. You could have like 5 gifts for your friends or whoever, your mom, your sister, and they're really cute. And you can use the real leather, you can use patterned leather, whatever you want. I just think this is super adorable, and I hope you liked it. Next up, we have a very simple DIY room spray. This would make a really great gift, and it's super easy. So you're gonna get a decorative glass bottle, and I would recommend getting a glass over plastic just because you are going to use some oils, some scenting oils that I just think work better with the glass. So for mine, I am using a 2-ounce bottle. So if you end up getting a 4-ounce bottle, double this amount. But I used 25 drops of a holiday scent. So that could be the gingerbread, that could be apple cider. I actually got this out of a kit that I ordered off of Amazon that I'll link, but you do 25 drops. Then what you're gonna want to do is fill the bottle half full with some witch hazel. And then from there, you're gonna, it says to use distilled water. I just used water from a water bottle. I figured it would probably be okay. And then you fill it up the rest of the way, put the lid on and shake it up, and then your spray is done. Then I created another label for you to use that you can get off of my website. The links will, everything will be in the description box below the video. But then I printed that out on that same sticker paper, cut it out and stuck it to the bottle. And then you could tie a cute bow on it, add a little embellishment, and make it really super cute. Again, use regular printer paper and a glue stick, and you could do that as well. But I really do like the convenience of the sticker paper. It's really nice and it sticks on really well. But I just love this. It's a cute little way to bring some holiday scents in, use this at your house and give it as a gift. But either way, super fun. I love it. And I hope you did too. I personally think Christmas ornaments are a really fun gift. So this one I hope you enjoy. The first thing I did is I took some metallic acrylic paints, and I did some brush strokes on the back of an acrylic ornament. But in a second, I'm going to tell you about an easier hack that I discovered after I had already done this segment. So you're going to want to do 2 or 3 coats of this metallic paint. I did it in gold, and then I also did it in red, and then because the red was a little too transparent, I added a couple of coats of just the regular acrylic paint behind it to make it a little bit more opaque, and then I let that fully dry. And I found Merry Christmas and that I liked and made that fit to the dimensions of our acrylic ornament. Now this is just a fun idea, but you could customize it with somebody's name, like if they got married that year or had a baby. There's just a lot of different ways you can customize this idea to fit for your situation. And then I cut that out in permanent vinyl, and then I weeded it, put on the transfer tape, and stuck it to the front of my ornament. And then I just picked a ribbon out and threaded that through and knotted it off to have a thing to hang it from. Now, after doing this, I swear that my phone is listening, or it knows what I'm doing. It's spying on us. I don't know. It was just really fortuitous, I guess, that I was on Pinterest like after making this ornament, and all I saw was pin after pin of like a similar idea. But what I saw that would make this even quicker and easier is people had cut out in vinyl the little brush strokes. So they just found like a brush stroke shape and cut out the vinyl in it, and so then you could skip the whole painting segment and just do it out of vinyl instead of the paint and get a quicker job done with it. But either way, I really love how this looks, and it is super cute, and I know that I would really love to receive something like this as a gift. My bow is going all crazy. So here's another Christmas gift idea for you that's an ornament. So what I did is I got a wood slice and I just painted out the center in white chalk paint. And while that was drying, here's what we are going to do. You're going to go find a special photo of the person that you are giving this ornament to. Maybe, I mean, social media is great. You can grab pictures super easy. And my parents recently went on a fun Alaskan cruise that I know that they loved and made a lot of memories on this year. So I found a cute picture of my adorable parents, aren't they cute? And I downloaded that. And so in Canva, I just made it round. You don't need to use Canva, but Canva has a free version and it's super fun to use. And I found like a frame that automatically put it in a circle shape for me, and I could crop it how I wanted and all of that, and size it to the dimensions that we needed, which I think was about 3.5 inches. Then I printed that out in what's called water slide paper, and then I took it outside and I sprayed 3 coats of this polyacrylic spray, and you want to do that every like 15 minutes or so, and then you're going to let that fully dry. And then you're going to take that round picture and cut it out, and then you're going to submerge that into water for about 30 to 60 seconds until you can feel it kind of slipping away from the backing. And then you're going to center that over your wood slice where you want it, and then quickly pull out the backing, and then make sure everything's smooth, kind of dry it off, and then let it fully dry. And then what I did is I took a little tiny eye hook and by hand screwed that into the top of our ornament, and then I attached some cute ribbon onto this. And that's it. It's so super cute. I really hope that my parents love this. You know, they travel here to Florida over the Christmas season, and I know that they come with like little carry-on bags. So I tried not to get anything that's too bulky for them to take home, but I figured that they could find a little place for this in their luggage, but I hope they really like it. So this next one is gonna seem maybe a little silly, I don't know. But I did this with my youngest in mind. He is so full of personality, and he really likes some quirky, fun t-shirts. And so glow in the dark vinyl, they've got it in a regular vinyl and a heat transfer vinyl. And I just found this really cute image. I bought it off of Etsy, and I'll link it below if you're interested. But it says, I'm kind of a big deal, but it's like a dill pickle. And I just thought that he would think that is silly and a little fun. And anyway, so that's what I went with. And I just uploaded that into Cricut and cut that out. Make sure when you're doing t-shirts that you do a reverse image so that when you iron it on, it goes on the correct way. So once we've got that cut out, you just peel back all the stuff that you're not going to use. And then I pulled out my Easy Press heat press. That's a mouthful. And I did 30 seconds on 330 degrees on the front, and then I flipped it over and did an additional 15 to 20 seconds. Then I let it cool a bit, and then I peeled it back, and there you have a really cute t-shirt. Now, this saying is not gonna work for everybody, but I just really wanted to give you an idea is you can really customize t-shirts to fit the person that you are giving it to. So if they're really into sports, you could do sports. If they're really into golf, you could do a golf t-shirt. I don't know. Just upload them in, cut them out, and then you get a really custom item that matches the person that you are giving it to. So I wanted to show you how it glowed, and it actually glowed really, really well at night, but it wasn't capturing on my video camera for whatever reason. So here's a couple of still images for you that will hopefully you'll be able to see. It really, really works well. I think it's so cute. There's so many applications for this product. I love it, and I hope it gets your wheels spinning. You are going to need a mug. I used this soup mug that I got at Dollar Tree. You could use a standard mug as well. Just a plain white one would be sufficient. And then you are going to need this printable that I have provided for you. You're going to cut it out, and you're going to take a little bit of graphite paper and tape it to the outside of your mug, right in the center. Get it looking good, nice and straight. Now, even though there's some diagonal lines on this is more kind of concept than actually drawing those on. So just focus on the shape of the letter. I've got the whole alphabet. Basically, we are monogramming these for people, so you can do a whole set of them for a family, or you can just stick with one and just do the last name, and then you pull that off. Then I took a gold paint pen that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. You can get them a lot of places. I think I've seen them at Dollar Tree as well. Trace the outside of the letter on that in the gold. Now, you could leave it like this, but I did the diagonal lines on it just by hand. This is a little too thick to do that, and that's why I said don't draw those diagonal lines on. They're more about just reminding you kind of the idea of the concept, and let that dry. Then I thought it would be fun to also do the handle gold. So I started to use the paint pen to color the outside, and I'm like, you know what? I probably ought to tape this off if I'm gonna get close to those edges. So I taped off everything, and then I colored the entire little handle in the gold paint. And then I peeled that off. Now you'll notice I didn't erase or do anything with the graphite. We'll take care of that in a minute, because then what you're gonna do is you're going to stick your gold monogrammed mug into the oven, and you are gonna then set it for 200 degrees, and then you're gonna put the cook time on for 20 minutes and let it cook at 200 degrees for 20 minutes. Then it automatically turns off, and you let it stay in there until it cools. And this will help bake it on. This will probably be a hand wash item, but it's still super cute. Also, if you wanted to use a stencil, like a vinyl stencil, and have it really look nice and pristine, totally go that route. This is just to be friendly to anybody who is viewing this project. Anybody can do this. You don't need a vinyl cutter. In my mind, I envision putting like a live rosemary plant. So I tried to find a potted rosemary at my grocery store. Then you're gonna take a piece of burlap, tie that around that, maybe with some twine, and stick it inside the mug, and you have a really beautiful gift that you can be really, really proud of. I always like getting customized things, and I just think that this is adorable, and I hope you enjoyed that one. This next idea is really easy and so much fun. Now you can do it a little bit larger than what I ended up doing it. And what you're gonna do is you are gonna start out with these blocks. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. I think it's about 2 inches by 2 inches by 4 inches. You can get a longer piece of lumber, cut them down and make a whole bunch of them, and that would be very, very cost effective. This will hold about 2 spice jars. So all you're gonna do is you are gonna take the Athena drill. This would make an amazing gift. And sorry, I have to do that every time. It's so much fun. You're gonna take your drill that you have and you're gonna need a Forstner bit. I am thinking this is like 1 1/4. I can't remember exactly the size of this, but basically I have a set of Forstner bits, and what it does is it bores a hole in wood, and I just matched it up to the bottom of this round spice jar that I picked up also at Hobby Lobby to make sure it would fit. And then you just drill down like a 1/2 inch into the wood block and make 2 of them, and you kind of center them in each little section. That's as far as we're gonna go with construction. Then I just took some antiquing wax and covered the entire thing except for the bottom. You could do the bottom if you wanted to, but it's gonna always be sitting down, so that's up to you if you want to stay in the bottom. Let that fully dry. If you want to kind of sand off the edges around it, that would finish it off in a little bit more time-worn look. If you want to add a little extra embellishment, this does kind of make it more wintry. If you want to keep it more generic, you can leave it plain, or maybe you can take some vinyl lettering and customize it that way with like a family name. I took a little wood snowflake that I got in a huge kit from Hobby Lobby and just a little wood glue, and then I offset it on this side. It does give it a wintry theme, but I think it looks super cute and adds a little bit of dimension. And then I just took my spice jars and then I put in some sprinkles that were Christmas themed. It has like a little gingerbread man, the holly berry. You could get this with a homemade sugar cookie kit and put it all together like that. You could also put in, you know, cinnamon spice, like actual seasonings that you might use in the winter time, and give it that way. So there's flexibility on what you actually put in the jars, but even on its own, it would make a really great neighbor gift, teacher gift. So cute, so affordable, super easy. You could do this even if it's last minute. I love it, and I hope you do too. Okay, I thought this next idea would be super fun to do, and very simple, is to do an infused herb salt. And so what I did is I took my Redmond's real salt, because I'm weird and I won't do the regular salt anymore because I found out that there's sugar in it. I was like blown away that they put sugar in salt. Whatever. So I stick to the Redmond's real salt. I think it's a really good quality, and it's also got a pretty color. And then I combined that with some dried rosemary, put it in my blender and pulsed it just a little bit to kind of infuse that together, as well as kind of chop down some of that rosemary, just a touch. All you need to do is put it in a beautiful jar. I also found these really adorable, oh my goodness, I'm making a mess, wood spoons, and they come in a huge bag. Even though I just spilled a whole bunch of them out. And you can tie these to them to scoop out your salt, add a little embellishment if you'd like. This is a simple and easy gift that anybody can use, that they can season their veggies, their chicken, their soups, whatever, this time of year. I think anybody would like to receive this gift. I know I would love to get something like this. Now, I have talked about my great grandma Hershey on this channel a couple of times. She was a huge influence in my life. She was one heck of a lady. If you knew her, she was super spicy and such a good woman. Anyways, I love doing meaningful gifts, and I've actually used this same recipe card in another project a couple of years ago. It was on a wood cutting board, but I wanted to make a simpler project where you can use a family recipe card and a fun and unique gift idea. So all you're gonna need to do is get the recipe and print it out on some copy paper in color in the best resolution that you can do. This one I enlarged to an 8x10, but the project that I am showing you is closer to the original size, which was a 5x7. I love like like the antique patina that's on this. I left it as is. It's so fun to see my great-grandmother's handwriting and all of her fun, cute little notes that she likes to chill it, and each batch will get better with practice. This is our family Swiss cookie recipe. It's called a Bratzli, if you are familiar with that. Anyways, all you do is print it out, put it in the frame. This is a great gift to give anybody in your family. It's meaningful. They can display it in their kitchen. It's awesome. I know that I would love to receive something like this, and it didn't take very much time at all. Such a sweet and thoughtful gift. I hope that gets your wheels spinning. So if you've got a fun family recipe, print it out, frame it up. You could even do like a really ornate frame. I used an IKEA frame that stands up by itself that I had in my stash already, and I just love it. I think it's awesome. There's a lot of possibilities with this one. Okay, for this next gift idea, I am going to be working with a medium that I've worked with on a smaller scale, but this time I wanted to do something bigger that would pack a punch, and we are going to be creating some resin jars. On Amazon, I found a whole bunch of resin jar silicone molds, and they are actually pretty affordable, especially if it's one that you can reuse over and over and over again. This is just one that we're going to be using. I thought it would be really fun to try to make like some kind of fancy container to hold jewelry or whatever treasures you want. And this was actually more simple than I was expecting. So I bought a resin kit off of Amazon. It came in larger portions. This way I could make a lot of them as gifts. And it comes in 2 parts, A and B. And all you need to do is mix equal parts. So you do the same amount of each product, and once they combine, they create the resin that will harden ultimately. So I just put this in 2 plastic cups, and I poured one into the other. Then I actually bought a resin mixer. I thought it would be fun. It was pretty affordable. You don't need to do this. You could do this all by hand, but I wanted to give it a try because you know me, I like things that are powered, and it worked out really good. At this point, I added some resin, and I'll just say I eyeballed it. I probably should have used the little scoop that came in this kit that I got off of Amazon. It has 36 different colors. They shimmer, so you could really customize it to whatever color works for the person that you are giving it to. Now, like I said, I eyeballed it, and I will tell you this, having finished it, I probably put in a little too much mica powder. So it comes with these little tiny scoops. I think I would just do that. It ended up being more opaque and less translucent than I wanted to, but it still looked super pretty in the end. So I just mixed that in with our mixer, but again, you don't have to get the mixer. You can totally use the popsicle stick and stir it in that way. And then you're going to pour the resin into the molds, and it's as simple as that. So you fill it up to the line so it's completely full, and you do it for the lid. I made too much, so I ended up making 2 different ones at the time. So I don't know what the magic formula is. I was glad that I had 2 molds. It ended up being just the right amount for those 2 different ones that I made. Now, a couple of things about the resin. I would still recommend doing this in a well-ventilated area with a face mask on, even though the resin kit that I got had 0 VOCs. Make sure you use protective gloves, and if you really want to be protective, you can use protective eyewear, and that will keep you ultra safe. Then all you have to do is let it set up for 24 hours. And then I pulled off the mold, and it revealed a really beautiful jar. Now, I don't know if I'm like a huge fan of this color. I'm really excited to try out some of the other colors that came with the mica kit. You want to be a little bit careful because even though you pull it out and it's set, it's a little bit pliable. If you squeeze it at this point, you do want to let it set up for a couple of days before you start giving it out. But isn't this an incredibly awesome gift idea? There are so many different options for jars. You can do something a little bit more ornate. The world is your oyster on these little resin jar silicone molds. It's so much easier than you would think. Isn't this an amazing gift? I know that I would enjoy receiving this as a gift, so I hope you enjoyed that, and just think of the possibilities and all of the ways you can customize it. So this next project is a really fun one for a good friend, maybe your best friend. I got a set of acrylic frames off of Amazon. I think that there was 6 in there, and I believe that they end up being about $2 a piece. I'm sure you you can find something similar to this at Walmart and maybe even Dollar Tree, but this is what I decided to use. And then I have a free printable that talks about best friends, but if you can find a different graphic out there, you can customize this for your husband, for your mom, your dad. There's a lot of possibilities. I just, in this case, did it for best friend, and you are going to print that out on water slide paper. You could also use vinyl if you have a Cricut machine. I just wanted to make this friendly to everybody, and hopefully you have access to a printer. So you're gonna print that out. Then I just cut off the part that I was gonna use so that I could reuse that sheet, because I was only gonna use a tiny little section of it, and I wanted to be able to use the excess for a future project. Then you're gonna take this outside and you're gonna do 3 coats of a clear acrylic spray. Mine is in a gloss finish, and you're gonna let that dry in between each coat. Then once it's fully dry, you're going to cut it down to fit on the acrylic frame, and then you are gonna submerge it into water and kind of just move it around in the water and then play with it until it feels like it's gonna slip off the backing very easily. And then you just place this where you want it, and I put this on the bottom of the frame and slide out the backing, and then you're gonna dry it off a little bit and then let it air dry, and that's it. You just slip in a picture, a photo of whoever you're giving this gift to and however you've customized it, and it's a really fun and simple way to let them know that you care. And this is totally beginner friendly, but it's such a sweet gift, and I hope you like that gift idea. If you're a sewer or a reader, you are going to love this next gift. But even if you're not a good sewer, this is a really, really simple project. So I have this printable, I will link below in the description box, that will provide like a little template for you on this. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut out 2 hearts in leather. Now this time around, I actually used real leather, but you could totally do this same thing with a faux leather. I think it would be a little bit easier to stitch than the actual real leather. So this is super, super affordable either way. Even if you do the real leather, I got a small amount at Hobby Lobby. It was on sale. I don't remember. The original price was $4.50 for the piece, and you could make several bookmarks out of this, making them, you know, 50 cents to $1 a piece. Super, super cute. So I did this in a cheetah print because I just thought that would be fun and sassy. You know, me and my cheetah print. Just cut out 2 hearts, and then you're gonna do right sides out. So the not finished sides are facing in. And then all you need to do is stitch down the side on either side in a right angle, really close to the edge. I ended up using my sewing machine, but kind of hand turning it, just because I didn't want it to go too fast, because this was really thick. This was real leather. It was a little bit much for my machine. That's why I would recommend maybe using the faux leather. Trust me, you can really customize this to the person you are giving this to, or just make it generic. I mean, who wouldn't like a little cute cheetah print bookmark edge? So that's it. It slides on the corner of your book to hold your place in a very creative way. So cute. So if you have a really big reader in your life, this is a perfect gift for them. I'm not a huge reader, and I would still like this. So I'm more of an Audible type girl right now these days, but I just think this is an adorable and sweet little gift, and I hope you enjoyed that. Now, I know a lot of you out there are really good bakers, and giving baked gifts is always a good tradition to do. I mean, who doesn't love a good, fun Christmas tree plate? But I thought it would be fun to shake it up on how you present it, and this is like the main idea. So I found these large cardboard monogrammed letters at Hobby Lobby. They were $4.50, I believe, originally, 50% off, $2.25. Even if you had to pay the $4.50, it's still a good deal. I sprayed the outside of it gold just to make it feel a little bit more fancy, but I didn't want to paint the inside just because we are going to be putting food in there, and I just didn't like the idea of that. So then you can take some of that shredded up paper and put that in the inside of the letter, or you could use tissue paper, whatever works for you, and start making a kind of treat charcuterie board inside this monogrammed letter. I had to cheat a little bit on this because I was crunched for time, so I'm using pretty much mostly store-bought treats, but you can do all homemade. You can mix it with some nuts, you can mix it with some fruit, depending on if you're going to be delivering it quickly. Make a fun charcuterie board, do it with your baked goods. It's so super cute. And now if they're lucky and they have a letter that will flip around and reverse easily, they could take the letter and use it as a piece of decor down the road. But either way, it's a really fun and unique way that's special and custom to the person that you are delivering it to. And I think it's a nice touch. So I hope that gives you an idea on another way you can bring your amazing baked goods that everybody looks forward to this Christmas season. Okay, so this next gift is really good for the man in your life or the teen boy in your life. I'm making a couple of these for my sons. I'm not saying that this is exclusive to boys. I think some girls could like this too. So I got a couple of pocket knives that I thought were interesting looking off of Amazon. They were not very expensive at all. So I just cut out my son's names in a vinyl stencil on my Cricut machine. If you don't have a Cricut machine, maybe you can hit up a neighbor or friend or order a couple of these online. You're gonna need to make it fit the dimensions of your knife, but I found that about a ½ inch tall and 1.5 to 2 inches wide worked well for the knives that I am using. I hope I don't get demonetized on this video because I'm doing knives. YouTube's funny. So then all I did is I weeded it and then I put the transfer tape on it. It was very tiny, so it was a little tricky on some of the letters, but I eventually got it. And then I transferred that onto the sides of the knife, and then I took some rub and buff in, I think I did like an antique gold and a pewter color on the other one, and I just rubbed that over our stencil and it dries very quick. So then I peeled off our stencil and there it is, a customized pocket knife for the guy in your life. I am confident that my boys are going to love this. This is their first pocket knife, so I'm sure that they're going to be thrilled. And since they're close in age, they will know whose is whose and there will be no arguing. So I hope you enjoyed that project, and I hope that you can find someone in your life that this project could work well for. This next idea is super easy. You can totally do this in a pinch last minute if you're watching this and it's close and you're like, oh no, I really don't know what to do. This one's easy. So all you're going to need is some peppermint scented Epsom salt. You can find this very easily at the store. I get mine off of Thrive Market because I found that there's less toxins in there. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox this time, but I really like this one. I use it myself. And so just take a bag of it, and then you're gonna take about half of it and do a couple of drops of food coloring, mix that into half of it. It doesn't take much. And that will dye half of it like this reddish pink color. Then I just took a Dollar Tree jar with the silver lids. You can find them pretty much at almost any Dollar Tree, or just find something similar, maybe a mason jar or whatnot, and then you just start layering it red, white, red, white, red, white to kind of give it like a candy cane effect, and then just put on the lid. I found these really cute peppermint picks on half off at Hobby Lobby for 75 cents each with a little bit of Christmas greenery. Tie it on with some twine. Super, super cute. If you wanted to add like a wood little scoop with it, you could, but even just as is, this is such a fun gift. I know everybody deserves a little bit of pampering. Epsom salts in an evening bath is really nice. So I think that this is a really fun and festive gift idea for this time of year, and so easy for you to do. This is a great gift. Anyone who is a big pet lover, somebody who's had a special pet. I actually had been seeing something like this, I think on Instagram. I love my little fur baby because they have been inundating me with pet pillows. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go into Canva, take a photo of the fur baby of your choice, then you're gonna hit remove background. Once you got the background removed, you need to blow the picture up larger. Now, we are going to be using some iron-on printable vinyl that you can print on, and then you iron it onto whatever you're using it on. It could be a t-shirt, it could be fabric like we're gonna be using. So what I did is I blew up her picture big enough to fit the max height of the 11 inches, and then I split the image exactly on 2 sheets of this printable vinyl. So then I printed it out. Then I just cut out her image, and then I left a skinny little white piece. And the reason I did that is I have found that if you can overlap it a little bit when you're seaming 2 pieces together, then that will help you kind of overlap it and get a nice good seal. Once we have it cut out, I lay it out on doubled up like a white sheet. I use white sheets all the time as fabric, and I thought this would work really, really great. And so I smoothed it out as best I can, but you'll see in a second here. What you're gonna wanna do is do like a 3-inch border around the image, and that will create like actually a total of 6 inches, but you'll see how that all works out. It'd be really good to have like a really tall upright one. This photo I had of Dolly was laying down, and you don't have to stick to just the 2 sheets. You could piecemeal 4 together and create an even larger pillow, but in my case I just did the 2. Once I had this cut out, it's time to iron it on. Now you're gonna see that I use my Cricut heat press. You don't need to use a heat press for this product. You just need a dry hot iron on the hottest setting. You'll be fine. Just know that you can use a regular iron for this project. So then I took the heat press and ironed out all the wrinkles the best I could and got that nice and smooth. And then you're gonna very carefully peel off the backing of the printable vinyl. Then it's kind of warm, so it will make the vinyl a little bit more pliable. And I kind of smooth that out where I wanted it. I like to do this one at a time and not like both of them at the same time, because one of them moves and it's just not gonna get a nice finished look. But you wanna put something over it to protect so it doesn't melt on anything, and parchment paper is a good option if you don't have one with it. And then you're gonna wanna do it for about, I would say 30 seconds just to be safe, and then pull back the parchment paper, and then you're gonna do your other pieces, whether that's 1 more piece or 3 more pieces, just whatever size of pillow you're making, just do them one at a time so they're nice and lined up. So then you do the same process of peeling off the back. This is where you want to make sure it lines up really, really well. You're gonna be very, very careful in this because if you bump anything, then it's gonna make things weird. So when you do use a regular iron, be sure to go down first instead of pushing, right? So just kind of tamp it down into place first, then you can use the iron in a circular motion. So there you go. And then we just repeated that process until it was on there good. And I was so excited at this point, but I did notice that there was a little spot that I missed cutting off the excess because I thought it was part of that white overlap lip. You'll see in the end it doesn't really matter because my fabric was white, but you just want to make sure that that's probably something that I missed and I could have noticed before ironing and somehow just overlooked it. So I'm not perfect, I mess up all the time, so just take my mistake and learn from it, and ultimately you don't really notice it in the finished product, and it's okay. Then we're gonna break out a sewing machine, and sewing is so simple, I promise you guys. If you take it slow, this sewing machine I have has an adjustable setting to where you can really slow down the speed. It's really, really nice. Before we start sewing, we gotta pin it together though. So you're gonna put the piece that was not ironed on top of it and cover up the ironed finish. So we've got unfinished one on the outside, the finished one's on the inside. There's certain circumstances you'll see in a second here I like to use pins for, but most of the time I love the clips because they really hold it together, and it's really fast to do. So I use the clips to clip out the edges, and then we're gonna leave a little bit of a gap that we'll need to flip it out and stuff the stuffing in and all of that. So this is just straight stitching, getting in the corners, going around, and following the outline of the pillow, which is going to be unique to every single one of your projects because each one of you is going to be doing it for a different cute little fur baby. So once you have it stitched, this is going to have all kinds of different curves to it. So you're going to want to make some relief cuts. So if it's going to flip in on itself, you don't want a lot of puckering. And I did a really good job doing this, but there was still like a couple of areas when it's all said and done that puckered a little bit more than I wanted it to. You're going to, on like an outside curve, you're going to create V notches. On an inside curve, you're going to create just little snips. So kind of watch what I'm doing doing here. And honestly, if you did all V notches, that would work too. So when it's in a curved area in one direction or other, that it will lay flatter in the end. Then we're gonna flip it out. And now it's time to stuff. And I thought I had actually some stuffing on hand in my craft supplies. I must have tossed it in the move because I could not find it for the life of me. But what I did have was a fairly new pillow. So I just cut that open and repurposed the batting from that into our pillow. And that just goes to show you, get creative with what you have. There's a pillow that you're kind of tired of. Maybe the pillow form is worn out, but the insides of it are still clean and good. You can just repurpose that. So that's what I did, is I stuffed our pillow really, really good. I do prefer to use pins in this scenario because it's so full and pinching it just doesn't work out. So I do like the pins in this situation. And then what we're gonna do is what's called stitching in the ditch. Basically what it is you're sewing back and forth in the seam. So it almost disappears. And I love using this on pillows, but you could also whip stitch it too. But I do like the stitch in the ditch technique because it hides the seam and makes it less noticeable. And then you're gonna tie it off. And then your pillow's done. How cute is this? I have had to do a head fake a couple of times because I put it here on this chair, and I will walk in a room and my heart will be like, oh my word, what's Dolly doing in here? I thought I saw her in the other room. And it's just totally this pillow. How adorable is this? And so I'm going to be sending this to my daughter who's away at college, and she adores her. So I thought that she would really appreciate this on her bed when she's like maybe had a bad date or something like that. She can snuggle Dolly and make it all better. I know this gift is not for everybody, but I thought this idea was super, super sweet, affordable, and really, really meaningful and special, and makes some adorable pillows. So there you go. Next up is a DIY project that I have done a lot now, but I've never done it on my channel, and I think it would make a really good gift idea. So I did this at a workshop at a convention that I did this summer with some ladies. I also did it as a youth activity for some girls at our church, and they loved it. And it's such a simple, easy thing to do that anybody could do it. I've seen similar items go anywhere from $40 to $60 on Etsy. So this is a really nice gift that doesn't cost a ton of money either. So you're gonna need like a 1 foot section of a 1x4. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your board and you're going to make some marks and pre-drill. So the first thing that we're gonna do is flip it onto the long bottom edge. You're gonna find center, and every 1/2 inch you're gonna make a mark. So 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch, 2.5 inch, 3.5 inch, so on and so forth till you get to the end of the board, and that you're going to skip the whole inches, if that makes sense. So then on the front of the board, you're gonna measure in about 3/4 of an inch in one direction and a 1/2 inch in the other on either side, and you're gonna make a mark there. Then you're gonna pull out, hopefully it's the Athena drill by Aaliyah, which is my drill that I designed and have put out on the market. We're really trying to get this promoted so that we can bring more tools to you, but it is a high barrier to entry, but everybody who's been ordering the drills have loved them. They're super powerful, beautiful, and awesome. So maybe add that to your Christmas gift list as well. But just take a drill and pre-drill the holes. You don't want to go in too far, and you want to use a very small bit. The idea is just to kind of pre-drill to when you get to the part that you need. Once you have those drilled, then you're going to pick the edging treatment of your choice. And there is so many possibilities, and I've made it a bunch of different ways. I am using some gold rub and buff, and I am rub and buffing the edges, which is really awesome because the rub and buff is a really cool gold finish, which kind of makes it feel higher end, but rub and buff dries very, very quickly. So once you get that painted, then you're going to select a contact paper, a wallpaper of your choice, or you could simply paint the whole thing out, or you could stain the whole thing out. Again, so much flexibility for the person you're giving it to. so many options. So what I decided to do is take some of the leftover contact paper that I put on my craft tabletop, which has a marble effect, and I thought it would be really cool. I cut a piece of contact paper to go on the top of it. Now, you could do one of two things. What I'm gonna do in my case is I'm going to put on some D-ring hooks on the back on either side. How you're gonna hang it onto the wall, or the person you're giving it to is gonna hang it on the wall. And you want to kind of line those D-ring hooks with the top of the board. You don't want them exposed. You want them just lining up with the top of, and then you're gonna just screw those in to the back and try to make them as even as possible. Then we're gonna flip it out and we're gonna finish this really, really fast. Then you're gonna need some small little cup hooks, not the eye hooks, but cup hooks, and we're gonna put 12 of those in the bottom, and you just hand screw those in those pre-drilled holes. Makes it a lot easier. And you can face the hooks whatever way you want. I recommend having the cup hook be facing forward in the end. So you're gonna get those all nice and even, hopefully, and get those lined up. And I use the brass, but you could use like a regular nickel, is it stainless steel? I don't know, like the silver ones as well. But I use the brass, and you'll see why in just a second. So then, with those screwed in, we are almost done. So once you get your cup hooks in the bottom, then we're almost done. So then you're gonna take 2 eye hooks in those previously drilled holes on the front that you covered up with the whatever wallpaper or contact paper, and then you're gonna fill for them, and then you're gonna screw those eye hooks in. Then it's time for the finishing touch, which is, okay, so you have this, and then you just slide this little brass rod. You could use a wood dowel as well that you've painted gold, but this one is actually a brass rod, and there you have it. So then from here you can hang little bracelets or like dangly earrings and a hook on, and then down here you can hang necklaces and bracelets or whatever, and again you can customize it however you want. This is our gold and marble looking one. This is all blacked out cheetah print one. There you go. So you can totally customize this for the person. Super simple. You can do it in under 30 minutes, easy, maybe faster if you're like assembly lining things. It's a fun project. It's a doable project, something fun to give as a gift this holiday season. Okay, so in the meantime, let's do something super, super easy and awesome that anybody could do. I think is such a good gift idea. Now, I love the idea of digital prints. Now, you can go onto the National Registry and find like open to the public prints. They're free. You can search databases. I'll try to find a few and put those in the description box below. My good friend Lisa Birmingham has a lot of art prints that you can actually have printed, and she can have shipped to you, and I can link hers as well. And then there's Etsy, where you can find a whole bunch of stuff. So digital prints are super readily available, and you can find almost anything for anyone. We're going with a more of a traditional theme here. I've just thrown up a couple of things here. This is not decorated. This is just kind of to get the mood going for Christmas without totally decorating for Christmas yet. So I have always admired this Santa admiring Jesus in the manger photo, because I love Santa Claus. I love how fun that is, and it's just so special and magical for kids. But the way we celebrate Christmas in our house is about the birth of Christ. And so I've always really loved, and my husband's always really loved, Santa kneeling towards the baby Jesus. And so I found this special print on Etsy. It was very affordable. I want to say it was on sale when I got it for like $3.50 to get the rights to use this digital print. So I love to have my art printed out when I'm not ordering it from like Lisa's website and I'm like in the last minute mode, or if it's something that's different than what she has on her website, then I like to print it out at Walgreens. And they always have a coupon for one, always have at least a 50% off, and sometimes even I've seen a 60% off. I think even once I got like a 70 or 75% off, and it was definitely in the Christmas realm, maybe like near Black Friday or Cyber Monday or something. But I remember going, holy cow. But anyways, their prices are the best, and their print quality is amazing, and they're super fast. So I decided to try out a different product that I hadn't before, because normally I'll just get their regular photo paper and print it out on that. And then recently, some fall prints that I had done, I had it printed out on like foam core paper, or like a board. So it was like cardboard, and I loved that because it looked more realistic, like it was art. They did not have the board in the size that I needed. It's quite large. My art is 22 by 28, which is not a common printing size. So I ended up having to print something in like a 36 by 24, I believe, and they did not have that in the board. So what I decided to do was get this peel and stick one, and I'm so glad I did. I am obsessed with the finish of this. I didn't have a foam core board, but what I did have out in my garage was a piece of plywood, like a masonite that we used left over from the cornice board. If your picture frame comes with a backing, like a hard backing, you could just use that. Or you could peel and stick it right onto the glass. There's just a lot of different options of where you can peel and stick this to, but the overall finish of it is stunning. It is a matte finish. It looks beautiful. Once you get your digital print, you can leave it as is, which I ended up doing with this one just because the finish was so beautiful and I loved the finish of it, so I didn't end up doing anything with this. But if you want it to look a little bit more like art and have like a little handmade touch to it, you can take some Mod Podge, particularly, you know, matte Mod Podge is really good, and take a brush and kind of just follow the brush strokes of the painting, and it will give a hand painted effect to it. And I've done that on a couple of pieces in my home, and it really is a cool finish. Now again, I didn't do anything on that, so there's a lot of options on it. So find a custom art, whether it's holiday centric or something that matches their home or their style, and give a beautiful print. Maybe you can find a really cool old frame at a thrift store that's very affordable, or one that's on clearance, or maybe you've collected them. I have a collection of frames, and giving a custom print that would match in their home, it's just a classy gift, and there's lots of ways to make that economically and have a wow factor. So hopefully that gets your wheels spinning and gives you some ideas on that. Also, I'm a huge fan of customizing things with initials or names. You've seen me do a bunch of different stuff on that in the past. So this next one is a super simple one, and that is just taking like a little canvas tote or canvas bag, and I found a whole bunch of blingy patches. So a special way to customize an item that is like has so many uses. You could use it as a makeup bag, you could use it as a sewing kit bag. There's like so many uses for that, and when you customize it with somebody's initials, it means a lot to them. It feels expensive, it feels nice, and that's one way I did it. Then there was another one that wasn't meant to heat press that had the pearls on it. It was so pretty, and you could make a whole set. But in that case, I just took some Gorilla Glue. You could use some sort of E6000 and glue that on, and it's just a really simple and easy way to customize something that make it thoughtful and like you put a little bit of extra effort into something. Next up is that cutting board that was just leftover remnants of my tabletop. So that's one like thing to look at, is what can you do with your remnants? What can you make with items that you already have that can be a fabulous gift? Also, if you went to the store and got a big butcher block, you can get into cutting boards that are going to be really affordable, maybe even more affordable than buying a cutting board at the store. So, and then again, on this channel, we've done different shapes, so you can get really creative with the shapes and all of that. You know, I love giving cutting boards. I think a person can never have too many cutting boards. Well, maybe they can, but I have a lot of cutting boards and I love all of them. So you can put some baked goods on it. Maybe it's a bread item or something like that. Or if you don't have time to bake or whatever, you can throw in, you know, some really cute Christmas hot pads or a really cute tea towel set that's Christmassy, super fun. Or you could do all of them together and then maybe like a wood spoon and just make it kind of like a little kitchen set. And I think that that is always a good gift idea. And that one was super simple. I actually had forgotten about it. Then when I was out in my workshop, I was like, oh yeah, those would be really cute gift ideas. That would be a really good neighbor gift or friend gift, just such a fun thing. So there you go. Okay, so for my next gift idea, it is to create some way to display and honor a special item that you might have, whether it's a necklace or some kind of family heirloom, to create a shadow box or some other way to display it, that item and the family member that is associated with it. Now, this is a handmade propeller. Isn't that beautiful? This was made by Jesse, and he made one for every one of his siblings, and this is the one that my husband received. And we haven't had a good way to display this, and I know that it's very meaningful to my husband. So my idea is to surprise my husband with a way to display this on the wall or on a shelf or something that's more than just sitting it there. And my husband and I have talked about this piece before, finishing it, putting like a polyurethane on it. We can always do that, but my humble opinion is to leave it exactly the way Jesse had it, other than finding a way to properly display it. But the craftsmanship on this is so astounding to me. Look at that carpentry work to get that to look like a real propeller. I mean, it's just really, really special. I think we leave it as is and we create a wonderful shadow box to display it. So that's what we're gonna do right now. And I am gonna just use all the scraps that I have in my garage. Made a commitment to kind of work through what I've got as to the best of my abilities and buy as minimal lumber as I can until like I've worked through a lot of it. And I think I have plenty to make something really, really great. I'm gonna try to show it to you in a way that makes it easy and absolutely doable for you. So let me show you what I got. Okay, so this piece of wood is a scrap piece of wood, and it's actually the perfect height this way, and it is a little bit long on this end, so we're gonna cut that off. But other than that, we only need to do the one cut. And then I have a couple of these 1x4s that we can put right here for the shadowing effect. And then I have a whole bunch of this. I've been using it on a lot of things here, and I've used it a lot of this trim that we can just add it right here to add kind of a decorative edge. And then we just got to decide how we want to paint it. So I'm thinking maybe a white backdrop so this really stands out, and then painting this black or staining it. I haven't decided, but I think that this could create a really good shadow effect. I already have all of this stuff. If you were to buy all of this stuff, it's very affordable. If you don't have like a scrap piece of this wood, they have like project boards and things that you can find that would work really, really good. The other thing that I was thinking is that if you are nervous to build a frame like we're doing, you could start with a finished frame that you find on clearance aisle at Hobby Lobby. They have like a lot of custom frames a lot of the time. For example, we have an actual shadow box, so all you would need to do is put a piece of wood on the back of this one and maybe paint it how you want, and it's on clearance for, it looks like $12.99. But you could convert any of these into shadow boxes by building out a box. This is almost shadowed already for like something smaller. You could even get a couple of these and stack them up. That is a really, really good idea. Or if you're simply like unable to build anything because you either don't have the time, the ability, or the tools, that is okay too, because they do sell shadow boxes, but you are a little bit more limited in what you're able to buy, and they're a little bit more expensive. We're gonna be able to build this with simply the scrap wood that I have in my shop. If you were to buy this size, it would be very affordable, less than 20 bucks. If you do buy shadow boxes, they can add up quickly. So if you do buy a shadow box, make sure you watch for sales, and a lot of times at places like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or those kinds of places that sell the shadow boxes, they do have lots of sales or coupons, and especially during the holiday season. So keep your eye out for that. This is more about concept. If you want to do something custom, this is how you do it. So let's start cutting. Going down on Christmas Day. Keep this, you might need it. We're gonna start out with a 45-degree cut and on the edge, and then we can go mark our other cuts. But I like to start out with one mitered edge. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna line it up with the edge. So the inside edge of that miter is gonna match up here. We're gonna make sure it's as close as possible. And then we are going to maybe use this as a way to mark the inside. I need to sharpen this pencil. So this can be the inside of the miter, and then I just kind of draw my mitered edge out like this, just so I know which way to take it. So we'll go make that cut. We'll make sure it's correct. Then we will make a duplicate for the bottoms. You want them to match up, especially if this is all square like it should be. Then these two should match, and then the outside ones should match. And this should take not very much time. Okay, so that matches up. We'll make another one exactly like this, and then we'll make the 2 side pieces. So we just set it on top like so. As lined up as possible. This one looks like it might be curved a little, I don't know. And then we're gonna just make our cut marks. So we've got a cut mark here and a cut mark here. Okay, so you want to cut off the black marker so you don't see it because that was on the outside. So in order for it to line up, we need to include the black in the cut. Okay, then we'll just swing this around. And if you're a little nervous, sometimes this is what I'll do is come here, but I will also line up this on top. And so then we can slide this in. And this one might work for one of the side pieces, so we'll just hang on to that. If not, there was more on the other piece, so we can cut the sides off of that. Okay, so these work good, and yep, this one will work. Look at that. So what I'm gonna do is put that right there. Makes me a little bit nervous, so we might just do it this way. Cut, and having one of these carpenter squares is really nice to have. It comes in handy to draw a really nice straight mark. And then, so we get the same 45-degree angle, we can, that's perfect. And then we can just, we could do it based off of that, but just so we have like a visual representation. So we now know what our cut looks like. I think I might need to cut off a little bit more, but we're gonna go double check it first. We need to get that black marker off just like I told you to do. I got a little nervous. It's always better to do a second cut than cut too much the first time. So I don't mind overshooting it a little bit as long as you have leftover. So here we go. Okay, that was a perfect fit. So all we need to do now is make one cut, hopefully, on our second piece. So we'll use that as a template, make our mark, and that's our cut. Remember, we're cutting off the black marker right up to the edge though. And now, before we do, I also want to go ahead and cut this out. Actually, you know what? Let's hold off on that. I'm trying to debate whether I want to paint this out first and then assemble it all and just do touch-up paint. When we're doing the touch-up paint, we can paint this. I just think it will be easier to paint without having to cut in on all of this. We can just roll it all and it's gonna be much faster in the end, I believe. So, but we've got a lot of sawdust, so I might wipe this all down. Okay, so this has been sitting in the repaint tray for like a week. It is lifted up a little bit over on this side, so hopefully it's still good. I think it might be. This is paint, like my trim color paint, totally still good. So we're gonna use this. I'm not even gonna prime because I think if I just do a couple coats, it will be good. We might even be able to get away with one like nice thick coat. Got some black wall paint. Shake it up a little. We'll do the inside and then the outside. And I'm living all kinds of dangerous. We'll be doing touch-up paint and stuff, but I like to live dangerously sometimes. We'll let that dry and then we'll flip them over and do the other side. So we're gonna now attach this before we frame everything up, and we need to mark a center, probably in pencil. And then we are going to pre-drill a hole for a bolt that we are going to be attaching. Okay, we're going to take my beautiful Athena drill by Aaliyah. That would make a good Christmas gift, that's for sure. It's made for us ladies. It's beautiful and it's powerful. So we're going to put in a pretty good sized drill bit. Just need to not drill a hole in my bench. This is the bolt that I found. Perfect. Okay, but I found this one that fits just perfectly, and I loved that it was kind of a brass finish that's been worn down a little bit. I almost feel like this is a little bit too shiny. Then we can stick that in there. It looks really good, don't you think? And then we can put on another washer to kind of lift it off a little bit. That's not going to do anything because it fits inside the hole, but okay, well, whatever. So I think we're okay just putting that there. Now I gotta go see if I have any nuts that we can put on the back side here. Maybe if I find 2 nuts, I can put 1 nut. Anyways, we'll figure it out. I'll go see what I have. I did a little more sleuthing and I went into my husband's golf club vending station and I found this and I found a nut, the perfect size. I did ask him, he didn't know what it was for, but I'm like, can I have these? And he's like, sure. So here we go. He doesn't know that it's for his stuff. We've got that pretty kind of brassy one here. I'm gonna do this really large washer here. Ooh, maybe I should put it in layers on top. Ooh, do we like that better? What do we think? Should we lose it on the back and just use it on the front so that this silver matches that silver and it makes more sense? I'm gonna do that. Yeah, okay, decision made. Okay, so then we are going to thread it through our hole and then we will just put on the nut on the back side. It's gonna be perfect. Here we go. Just get it on there a little bit and then we'll make sure everything is lined up. Awesome. Okay, so this is stationary. I thought it would be cool, and maybe down the road I'll do it, to do kind of like a front end of an airplane or something that looked more airplane-ish and make this spin. But for now, this is a good way to display it while I come up with a plan and where to put that and all of that. For now, this will look really, really cool in either his golf simulator room or in his office area. I'm excited. Okay, before we paint the outside and put on the trim, I thought we could just go ahead and attach this. And we are gonna use wood glue because that's just always a good idea in sturdiness. That was not awesome. We're okay. Everything's fine. Brush off a little sawdust. Okay, so we are gonna put some wood glue and use some finished nails. Make sure I've got a good length here. This might be a little bit long. When you get them too long, it makes me nervous that they're gonna go all scattywampus or what it is. Whatever that word is. I don't know the length of these. They were just kind of loose, but they are going to be a good length because you want it to go through and then through a little bit more, and that'll be good. Put those in here, get that ready. This one has to be turned on. It doesn't turn on when you engage it, if that makes sense. I'm chaotic right now. I gotta put on my safety glasses because we're using a nail gun. We are gonna just go ahead and put the glue on the bottom of this wood. I think that makes sense. This might be a little uneven, so we gotta be really careful here to make sure everything is, oh, that's gonna be tricky now that we put the nut in. Actually though, so maybe we want to take that out. I think if we lift it up and it creates a lip, I think that will be good because we do have the nut sticking out. So there we go. I think we'll be, and I am getting wood glue everywhere, but we'll clean that up here in a second. Okay, get this all lined up. Now that we have it lifted, it will be good to go. You know, the battery might be running low, so this is why it's always good to have an extra battery in tow, because if you're in the middle of the project and your battery dies, it's like the worst. Now we can just continue and hope I aim good. Okay, so I'm not gonna do it all the way yet just because I wanna make sure everything gets lined up correctly. Let's do the side pieces. Balance it out by pushing the paint sticks all the way in. We'll do a little wood glue. I am feeling so clumsy right now. What's the matter? Maybe I'm nervous, I don't know. Hope my husband likes this. I've got like butter fingers. Let's not drop it. Get this all lined up. I like to do the top first and then I do the bottom. I just realized the door was unlocked. My husband could come in at any second, so I just locked it. Now these corners together, the corners are important. If they line up, that is the most important. And then we can figure out the other stuff. Okay, look how good that fits. So now we just need to make sure that everything lines up. So that's why I'm gonna look at the back here and get it all even, and then we'll finish nails all the way around. And then once the wood glue dries, looking like it's taken shape, it's a little unfinished still, but I just don't want to run a nail through on the inside. Like if we run a nail through like out on the back side, it's different than the front side. The only part I'm worried about is like I need to get a washcloth on that soon so the wood glue doesn't dry. I'm gonna slide this down so that I can get a better angle on these. Am I doing okay? I'm so nervous. It's going good, okay. We're gonna flip this over, make sure everything's even up here. I feel like it's tilted back a little on this side. This corner's a little further back. Everything. I just mess up everything. What am I gonna do? What am I going to do? What is off? It must be these. I think I need to pull this off. Dang it. Now that I messed up on the one side, I'm feeling a little more nervous. Okay, so now all we need to do is pull out the finished nails. Finished nails here. We'll need to do a little bit more wood glue probably. And hopefully we can get these all to align because I've like made everything weird now. One that's in there really good. We're gonna do more wood glue. Try to get this all, start with this side. It's the front, so I always want the front ones to line up the best. It fits in the front, but it's all kind of weird in the back right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I'm gonna get a nail gun anywhere in there, but we're gonna try. Or maybe we should just let it dry, I don't know. I might just need to let this, we're okay there. Maybe if I move it over here. Okay, I think we did it. That was tricky, but we did it. Okay, so we're gonna use our miter shears, and all you do is I've set it on a 45-degree angle, and then you slide it in there, and we're gonna make our first cut just like we did on the other ones, on the edge, and you literally just cut it like scissors. And it depends on how hard the wood is. Some of this is like harder than others, but most of it is soft and most of it's pretty easy. And so then we can just set it on top what we've already done, and then make our mark. Okay, so we gotta make sure everything is lined up. I really need a sharp bit. Oh my goodness, I'm too lazy to go in or sharpen it. Okay, so then we go the other 45, line that up, and if we have a little excess, remember that's okay because you can always trim off a little bit more. I did good. Oh my word, that is money. Okay, before I attach any of these, I'm gonna cut another one identical to this. So it would be going this way. Okay, so these pieces are good, and now we just need to do the side pieces. We'll do a starter piece. Look at that, that's gonna be so close. Before I attach all these, I'm gonna just double check them. And
the whole world is white, there's snow everywhere from the storm last night. Winter is here, blue jays are watching the children's play on this bright and wonderful Christmas day. It's so cold outside, we're staying in here by the fireside. I think I can hear far in the distance how sleigh bells play on this bright and wonderful Christmas day. It's a wondrously slow and golden Christmas day. When the sun gets low, you're still by my side in the afterglow and warmth from the fire. I love every moment as hours go by, holding your...
You can't come in here.
What?
Surprise, you can't come in here. Bye. Okay, our little special gift for my husband is ready. Okay, so I'm going to pretend like I'm watching something on my phone and secretly record him seeing it. Hopefully it works out and he doesn't like catch me. So this is a completely customizable gift. You can make it fit the item, no matter the size, no matter the item, and maybe it's something big, maybe it's something little. You can just make it. And like I said, maybe find a frame or something at the store that will work and then build a box around it. It's pretty simple to do. And again, worst case scenario, buy something already made. It's still a very special gift. Just pretending I'm watching something. This is kind of fun. Hey.
What are you doing?
I'm just watching this video.
Hi, Dolly. Is it the one you just posted?
No, it's just another YouTuber.
I knew you were acting weird.
It's not acting weird. What do you?
Oh my gosh, honey. No way.
What do you think?
Oh, you're filming?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh my gosh. Your audience isn't going to know what this is about.
Well,
Honey, this is beautiful.
do you want to tell them what it is?
Yeah. So I have 3 older brothers, Aaron, Jesse, and Chris. And my family was we were a yours, mine, and ours family. And half of us were very young when that happened. And one of my older brothers, Jesse, we don't know quite if it was Asperger's or something along that spectrum, but he was like the most brilliant dude ever. Like, I came home one day, like, in 5th grade, and he had, like, built a hovercraft.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was always tinkering, always doing stuff. But, like, this right here, so he passed away a couple years ago, and I asked for something special that he made, and this is a 2x4, just a piece of wood, right? And he had, I don't even know how he did this, but he made a fan blade out of it. So it's perfectly curved, and it was pretty balanced too. But it's what he would just do stuff like that, just because he just felt like it, you know. He didn't have many friends, but he had the biggest heart you've ever known.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, this is really special. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
Really,
I just wanted you to have a place to...
I want to put this in my golf room.
Okay, good.
It's wonderful, honey.
Love you, honey.
Love you.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, here's 50 more ideas that you will love as well. And to all of you, I just want to remind you that you are powerful. We'll see you next time. Bye.